Hey, and welcome to Board of Life News for September 13th. Today I'm going to talk about Pandemic Fall of Rome, Slap It, Camel Up, Potion Explosion, and the Kickstarter for Black Forest. Let's get to it. Pandemic Fall of Rome is a new take on the classic game Pandemic, obviously. There have been quite a few of these kind of new implementations and new themings of Pandemic coming out in recent years. In this one, you are defending Rome from Anglo-Saxons, Goths, Vandals, Huns, things of that nature. The thing that excites me most about this is it's a co-design between Matt Leacock, designer of Pandemic, obviously, and Paolo Mori, who has designed like Ethnos and Libertalia and Dogs of War. And I'm a big fan of Paolo Mori's designs, and most of his games use cards. They're kind of card-based in clever ways, like very simplistic, but that add to interesting player interaction, things like that. So I'm really interested to see kind of what he's bringing to the table with this and kind of what kind of fresh new take we're going to see with Pandemic. Slap It from Renegade Game Studios is a new dexterity game designed by Kane Klinko. He designed Fuse and Flip Ships for them. In this game, a portal's opened up to another dimension, monsters are coming through that portal, and you have to slap them to keep them from, I don't know, presumably destroying all of humanity. The cards are laid out in sort of like a circle, and you roll 2 dice, and the combination of those 2 dice dictate kind of what monster you should slap, and it's the first person to like quickly slap the monster, obviously, is going to get to take that card. The person with the most cards at the end of the game wins. It seems like a nice, light, family weight, kind of silly, you know, beer and pretzels type game, so excited to see this. Camel Up is getting a new edition from Eggert Spiel. Camel Up originally came out in 2014, and it was a big hit. It's a very clever kind of betting game. This new edition is going to feature new artwork, a new board design, a new pyramid design, engraved dice, and new game modes, including ones that have like rogue camels and stuff that go backwards instead of forwards and add to the mayhem, craziness. The pyramid, I will say the pyramid in the original game is kind of how you randomize what die comes out, and the result was an unnecessary but very welcome kind of clever little weird engineering thing with like a rubber band and you had to push and it let out. So I'm interested to see what the new pyramid design is. Camel Up's a really great betting game, as I said before, and also a really fun game to bust out with more players because it goes up to 8 players and it plays pretty well with 8 players. So yeah. Potion Explosion is also getting a new edition as well as an expansion. The only change in this new edition of Potion Explosion will be that the marble dispenser is going to be pre-built plastic instead of the original one you had to build it yourself cardboard. And the cardboard one worked, but it always felt a little like rickety and janky, so it's nice to see that you're going to get an upgraded kind of like nice plastic component. The Potion Explosion expansion is called Sixth Student, and it's going to allow the game to go up to 6 players. It's going to introduce new wild marbles, potions that you need multiple players to complete, as well as another plastic dispenser that you use when playing with 5 or 6 players. I love the idea of the potions that require multiple people to complete. I think that's really clever. I will say that I'm prone in Potion Explosion to analysis paralysis, and some of the players I play with as well. So adding more stuff and more players, I don't know if it's going to make that game more fun. I do worry about it kind of taking too long for the weight of the game, but maybe that's just a problem with my group. Who knows? This week's Kickstarter is for Black Forest from Green Couch Games. This is a new take on kind of the classic cards with numbers games that are, you know, you've played card games, you understand that. In it, you have hands of cards that you're trying to manage and pick cards to play to the center. In the center, there are different kind of scoring things that you're looking for with where you put your cards. So there are cards in the center that are aligned perpendicular to your card, not vertically, but horizontally. Landscape's what I'm looking for, not portrait. And so like one of them on like the long side of the landscape can fit 2 cards. The player who plays the highest card there wins. The other side, the player who plays the lowest card wins. One side you're trying to match the suit, and another side of the card is kind of randomized per card. It's different on each card, so they have different scoring objectives. So it sounds like an interesting way where you're kind of a new kind of fresh take on managing your hand, doing hand management stuff, which seems clever. It looks like it's going to feel classic, but also like new and fresh at the same time, which I like in games. So if that sounds interesting to you, it's $19 right now on Kickstarter, and you can go back that. All right, that's the news for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, as well as follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter. I do board game news videos every week, so it's an easy way to quickly kind of stay up to date with what's going on in the board game world. Also, I run a Patreon that's linked in the description below. If you find value in what I do and want to throw me a buck, it's very much appreciated. This week's question comes from @Tyler_Giesbrecht. I think I got that right. I might not have, but I think I got that right. And he asks, what are your thoughts on original digital board games such as Armello that can do things tabletop games can't? I think they're great. I'm all for them. I'm not familiar with Armello specifically, but I played a whole lot of Hearthstone, which is a digital implementation of a collectible card game, and I played a good amount of Slay the Spire, which is a deck builder, but video game. Both of those games do things with randomization and kind of complex computation that you wouldn't do in a board game because it would just be a total pain and it would slow the game down and you'd be thinking too hard and it wouldn't be fun. But when a computer is the brain, it's easy to do that. I can't remember who said it, but somebody was like, board games are the same as video games. It's just the console they run on is your brain or something, where it's like all the computation you handle instead of a computer, obviously. And so when you digitize this stuff, when you put it, when you make a video game out of it, it opens up a huge amount more design space than you have with, you know, games. Because like setup time in a board game is a thing you have to worry about. And like the number of cards you can physically hold is a thing you have to worry about. And like how complex the math is and how quickly you can compute that is a thing you have to worry about. All that kind of stuff you don't have to worry about in video games because you don't have physical limitations such as the human body and the human mind that slow that stuff down or make it not fun or practical. So I think it's a really cool design space. I don't in any way think it replaces board games, for me at least. I still love analog games, and the experience I want from analog games is sitting around a table with a group of people and kind of having fun, right? And having a few drinks, talking, being social, and that is not what I necessarily get from video games normally. However, I will say it supplements my board game stuff, so when I can't get together with friends to play board games or I don't have time or it's late at night or whatever, I do enjoy kind of supplementing and feeling clever in my brain the same way I do with board games by playing digital versions of either digital versions of board games or specific digital board games that are not like re-implementations of physical board games. Yeah, great question, and I'll see you next week.